Alright, so in this video, I plan on, following up after you get all of your pregame stuff done, what to do once you're actually in the lobby, dropping down, and loading into the game. So, I personally prefer to drop in sort of like the same few areas every time. I have like kind of different landing areas for each corner of the map, just because it let me quickly get a feel for how to quickly loot and fight in those areas. So like pick a few spots that you can get to from each corner and just sort of like try and go there as consistently as possible so you can get like a real feel for that part of the map. Like, of course, you're not always going to be able to get the zone that you want, and because of like the collapsed sectors, and sometimes you get a small lobby, your zone's just not there. But it's worth it for the times you do get that zone, especially starting out, because it'll give you like that little bit of an advantage, not having to really like think about what you're doing and just focus completely on what's going on around you. So like I personally like going Unity Hill, Throne Hall, and Helios are kind of like my go-tos. You can reach them from pretty much any part of the map. After that, if you're wondering where to land in there, or like wherever, landmarks are always good. Clusters of buildings are not bad. If you check your mini-map, anywhere with like orange is somewhere that you can land on, go through, and loot, basically. Like there'll be little orange marks on the buildings, and you're good to go. And so you just want to get down as quick as possible, hold forward on the left stick, and just pick up whatever you can. Get ready. Be aware of where your team is and sort of have like a path on where you want to go. And this comes in with landing in the same areas over and over again, because like you want to be working towards center of the map or towards gunshots, whichever one you're prioritizing or you encounter first. Like over here, I hear the fighting and I'm trying to move in. I can loot on my way to where I'm going. That's the important part, is to loot with a direction in mind and a purpose. Don't just wander around aimlessly. After that, you want to be aware of where your team is. You don't want to get too far ahead of your team. So I push this, pick up the kill. My team's working their way towards me, so I back up a little bit, wait for them, and move in with my team now, pick up a nice easy kill on that guy, whereas I could have gotten, I didn't see him before, he could have just shot me in the back if I pushed ahead of time. I could have got a 2v1 quick. It could have went south really fast. I personally like running the heal on a team. I think at least one person should have heal at all times, just because, it gives you so many options. Like, you can support your team with it, win building fights much easier, and like everything in between lets you get away. I prefer teleport over slam just because I feel slam is pretty, it sets you on that straight trajectory. It's easier to chase if people are anticipating where you're gonna go, as well as it's pretty easy to track people out of the slam, and as people get better, you'll get shot out of your slam more and more often. So here, I'm just kind of working my way towards center map. I don't really hear too much going on. There's shots in front of me, so now I start pushing those, and I just want to get pings out, keep my team informed, be aware of how far ahead I am, and just look for easy kills on the outskirts of these fights. You do not always have to go all in. Sometimes it's worth to even just, circle, look for solos, people running away, people trying to third party, take a little bit of time, gather some information. Don't go balls deep until you've got as much information as you can get. See, and this is where that heal I was talking about is so good. I definitely would have died here if I didn't have this. Another thing to be aware of is there's lots of little bushes, benches, bus stops, lots of little things to break line of sight and use as cover. Play tight to these things. You don't want to be standing in the open. Right there, if I was in an open area, I definitely would have died, but there were so many little things I could use to just kind of be hard to hit, be annoying, make them chase harder than they'd like to. That situation right there is why I really recommend running like a Harpy or a Hexfire or something with like a longer range option, because a Ripper or a Riot, you know, probably would have gotten my face torn off by that shotgun if I was challenging with those. You know, we got a free restore here, get my teammate up, be a team player. Now here's another really good thing to keep in mind there. What my teammate just did was super good, so like, you know, you want to leave the weapons for your teammate to loot. Especially because of situations like that. My teammate was able to just pick up the Hexfire and that guy walked straight into a 2v1 for an easy kill. Now here, I could hear them pushing. Now I knew there was multiple, so I decided to wait a little bit to get the flank. Unfortunately, my teammate did take the death for that. But, you know, if I came out earlier, you know, either way one of us was getting a 2v1 there. Luckily, there are lots of resources nearby. My teammate's already back up. You know, try and ping good things for your team too. Like, be aware, if someone just dies, you know, like, sure, you might have a fully kitted loadout, but, you know, it always pays. You can see your teammates' loadouts in the bottom left corner. If you see something they're using or they don't have gold, just try and ping that, you know. Make sure, spread the love around, you know. So there you can see the good use of cover again, and this is another reason I like teleport over slam, because you quickly close that gap so I can move from cover to cover, exposing myself as little as possible. And the heal gives you just that little boost you need to keep everyone in the fight, and it's just easy cleanup from there. Definitely should have just had my Riot out there. That was an easy kill. I like it away. You know, you want to be aware of what you're doing and the ranges of your weapons, because you don't want to get caught with the wrong weapon out and then end up trying to map somebody with a Harpy like I did and looking like an idiot. You know, I had the Riot, it was an easy shot. Utilize your loadout to its full extent, swap weapons. You know, don't get hung up on one thing. Be very flexible. This game's all about adapting to the situation around you and making use of everything. The environment, your hacks, the hacks on the ground, the weapons on the ground, everything can be utilized to either help you secure a kill or get away from death safer. Team shots are also incredibly important. You know, like me and my teammate, we're focusing fire on the one dude. Even though it's a 2v2, it quickly becomes a 2v1 and that guy has no choice but to leave. Now here, you know, you gotta make the call. Sometimes you want to chase, but you don't want to chase. You don't want to get too far away from your team, you know. So like, you want to stay nearby, you know, so you can always at least get to an angle where you can help them out from. Don't get too distracted. Sometimes you just have to let somebody go. And be aware of what's going on. So here I'm chasing pretty deep, but my team's at full health. They're not really engaged with anybody. Everything's pretty much fine. But that guy is pretty far. There's chasing, so I move back to get back with the team, letting the enemies live for another day, unfortunately. Here I just have complete potato aim, but it's okay, because you can always, like, you know, push people, play, because the train is a good position for where they are now. So even though I missed, I can push it with a Harpy. It's perfect range for what I'm rocking, and I feel very confident walking into whatever's coming here. And I get rewarded with a kill and an assist for it. You know, pretty good deal. Ugh, my aim. You know, I love the Riot, but sometimes it's just very unforgiving of a weapon. But as you can see, you definitely need that medium range option. The Harpy just isn't gonna cut it, or Shotgun isn't gonna cut it, you know. The Dragonfly, I feel, isn't up to snuff, but like the Ripper, the Riot, either one really works. But it just gives you that option to play those ranges, because in this game, you know, you don't always get to do what you want to do. It's very easy for the situation to change incredibly quickly with all the hacks and how quickly third parties can come in, that you need to be able to handle as many different situations as possible. That's personally why I'm not the biggest fan of the grenade launchers, is because like they're really great in buildings, but you take them outside and you have to work quite a bit harder. But that comes back to the point where, you know, be aware of what's on the ground around you, you know. If you're trying to push a team in a building and there's like a gold salvo or like a level 3 salvo around the corner, don't be afraid to just swap out your weapon, kill those guys, and then just swap it back later. You know, that's one of the beauties of the simplistic looting system in this game. Is like you never really have to be like too afraid of like switching things out. I mean, sure, somebody might fuse your weapon behind you, but like the weapon balance in this game is very good. You might have to force more encounters in buildings, but I mean, honestly, the team you killed should have something for you to pick up. You know, Gold Heal has an incredibly short, you can literally have that like on 100% uptime on your heal when you get it fully upgraded, so like use that liberally. Don't just use it for yourself either, you know, if you see a teammate low in a fight, throw it on them. You know, just like keep doing everything you can to secure your team's health advantage against anybody who might on any other teams. Another thing with the heal too is like you get the heals from a floor above or below in buildings, so you can kind of hide it very easily. You can make it difficult to destroy, so it is very reliable. Another thing you want to be doing is you want to try and get the flank on people as often as possible. You don't want to be standing toe to toe. You want to be destroying like half of someone's health bar when they're not even looking at you. And have your team's back. You know, be paying attention to that as well. So the reason I decided to go for the restore there instead of just restoring a teammate on the enemy I had just killed is because the restore in the building was much safer than the one in this courtyard. So I decided to go for the safer bet. Unfortunately, that means we did lose the restore in the courtyard, but there's been so much chaos going around near us that it did not even matter. Another thing you can do is you can move and jump while you're restoring, provided you don't like accidentally jump or walk out of range or onto a bounce pad or something. So like mix it up. The enemy can already hear like the sound of a restore going off, so you might as well like just be moving as much as possible, because if someone's listening, they're like, your footsteps aren't going to make a difference because they can already hear the sound of the restore. I know that was one thing I kind of did early on when I was trying to sneak a restore. I would just stand still because I was worried the sound of my footsteps would give me away, but I mean, the restore is very distinct and noticeable on its own, so like anybody listening for your footsteps is going to hear that anyways. So be like, you know, keep on the move. This is not a game you ever really want to be standing still for. Well, we've set ourselves up for the showdown now. Unfortunately, one of my teammates has died, but we're in the final stretch of things, and at this point, like, I don't even want to get caught up in these closing sectors for too long. Like, I really want to just get my team out of trouble here and move into the showdown and get a strong position. Because as moving late, you lead yourself to gatekeeping very hard, especially at the showdown. Every team in there is going to be looking out from, and it's pretty predictable to see where everybody's going because of all the fighting. You know, unfortunately, I went for the res, and it's going to be a bit of a spiral from here, because as you can see, I'm caught up with all of the other teams late, and we're already being shot at from the rooftops. I'm luckily able to get in safely, but from here it just kind of spirals downhill, and that was the biggest mistake I think I made this game, was not moving into the showdown area soon enough. If you're waiting for that last sector to collapse, especially if you don't have your squad with you, even if they're dead, you know, if you restore them, odds are they won't get proper loot, or you're both just gonna have a really bad time once you get to the showdown. I would have been much better off pushing by myself into the showdown and trying to secure a kill on one of the stragglers from outside. And at this point, I'm wasting a ton of time trying to get my team up and pretty much ignoring the crown. But as you can see, every other squad has the same idea, and these restores are super crowded. So another team has picked up the crown, and I'm caught up in a fight with a squad that has no relevance to whether or not I'm winning the game. And even after getting the restore, you know, we're dealing with a 2v2 at a disadvantage. Now, I make another mistake here. There's 30 seconds left, and I'm still trying to go for a restore instead of just disengaging and going for the crown. As you can see, like, I'm still caught up with a completely different squad now. And at this point, there's like no time to hunt down the man with the crown, and my team has still been dead for the entire showdown, essentially, despite my best intentions to restore them. So that's why I'm going to have a completely separate video on showdown strategies, but I think this sort of covers sort of what you want to be thinking about on your way to the showdown.